Them niggas shrink around you, man. You know what I'm saying? They just in the space probably before you was a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But them niggas shrink when you come around. That's why them niggas don't want you around.
Situation with the genders and all of that shit that we've been hearing about. And there's nobody better than the gore. Philosophical to come set that bitch off.
Yo, you know the game been.
Let's go. What's up? Peace. Welcome everybody back to the show. Thank you. Hold your applause. You're far too kind. Thank you. Peace, everybody. We back at it. You know what I'm saying? This is a good one. One of the brothers, we having a little technical difficulties. You know, when you bring these powerful minds and energies together, there's always some type of interference. But we're gonna try. We hope everybody could pull up tonight. But brothers done pulled up. We're gonna have a real powerful discussion tonight. This is a discussion that's well needed. That needs to be fleshed out. That needs clarity. That this is a conversation that can only be truly valued and appreciation by a studied person. This is one of those conversations that are belief based. This is not a conversation that's organization based. This is one of those rare conversations that can only be rewarded through the blessing of studying to show thyself approved. And when you're able to do that, and what you understand is such an amazing concept, such a liberating concept, such an honest concept, and such a true concept that it's hard to not be excited about, and it's hard not to indulge and engage in this concept, especially when we live in a time where our people are always trying to find an identity, and like I like to say, reinvent the wheel. And if you really study, you'll realize that the blessing was always in front of you. You know what I'm saying? It was just high. It was hidden, but it wasn't. And it's very simple to understand, and it's a beautiful understanding. And it's almost like those movies where sometimes the magical quest comes down to the magic word. Well, I believe this is the magic word. And I have some brothers that I've watched coming up in my younger years that really opened my mind to these concepts. And I've always respected these men. And we having trouble. The brother Aseer is trying to get in the show. Maybe if I drop the StreamYard link in the chat, maybe he could click on it from there. He's fighting hard to get on, but they're really playing with him. So just give me 1 second. I'm gonna tell a brother. I see it's trying to get in. Yeah, so tonight it's going to be one of those conversations where if you have an open mind, if you're one of those people who understand what a Moor is and what it means and how it's relevant to who we are today and how it can be a tool. It is a tool to get us toward the concept of liberation that we often strive to be, because we don't realize that we already are accepted all over the world. We already have an understanding. We don't have to create nothing. We already have a designation that is already globally recognized, that's historically validated, that's all inclusive of the diaspora. And these are the questions that I hear often in conversations. Who are we? What are we? It's like the time is at hand where we must study, and it can't come from who's the loudest in the room, who's the most popular. You're really going to have to really read and understand what's more likely to lead to a conclusion that's in your favor. So without further ado, I want to bring these two powerful brothers to the stage. We got the brother Mansa Muhammad, these are heavyweights. Hold up, we got more. These are heavyweights in the building right now. You know what I'm saying? It's in the building. These are not just rigmarole, angry black men. I'm in baseball beliefs. Bombarded with a pragmatic perspective. These are well-read, knowledgeable brothers who live a life of what they speak about, and they go and they have no agenda but to teach. You know what I mean? They're not sitting here trying to get all their bills paid from talking to you, or they do this out of the kindness of their hearts, because these are the type of men that I like to associate myself with. And I really respect these brothers. And like I told y'all, you know, I always want to share the thoughts and share the people that inspired me with you guys. You know what I'm saying? It's not about sensationalized content. I really want to bring y'all things that inspired me. So whatever you admire in me or whatever you see in me, I want to give you glimpses of the things that inspired the person that you may admire and love today. So without further ado, we got Mansa Muhammad and Sharif NL Basis. Mansa's been here before, so I'm gonna let him do his brief introduction, and then I'm gonna let Sharif close out since this is his first time.
Praise the Lord.
Peace. Salam alaikum, everybody. I'm Mansa Muhammad, founder of Moorish History TV, founder of a lot of different things, but that's what we're going with for right now. And yeah, man, you know, it's just I've been an author, authored over 37 books, along with my comrade El Amir from America Society. And yeah, we just, you know, we're here to expound on some very important things for our people tonight. You know what I mean? Thanks for having me on, of course, my brother.
Man, of course, man. You know you my bro, man. I really appreciate you, man. Always coming through. Sharif NL Basin, I've been waiting to talk to. You know what I'm saying? So please, the floor is yours. Introduce people to who you are. What inspires you.
Islam, everyone. My name is Sharif NL Basin. I'm your brother. I serve in the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated under the leadership of Brother R. Jones Bey and his assistant, Brother A. Hopkins Bey, another scholar, Brother A. Hopkins Bey. And I'm one of the founding members of a Moorish American think tank called Ali's Men. And again, I'm just your brother.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. So, since it's your first time, Sharif, I would love to ask you. So, what's your background, real quick, and what led to this train of thought? Because it's reasons why people go. It's so many trains of thought. You have Hebrew Israelite, you have Christian, you have just strictly Islam. Because I'm sure you Islamic as well, but some people are just Muslim and there's no nationality attached to that. So with all these different trains of thoughts, being that you're exposed to, being from where we're from, the tri-state area, what led you to this ultimate conclusion?
There's a statement in the Quran that says, man plans and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners, right? Some people interpret it in a more humorous way. They said, man plans and Allah laughs, right? That said, the path that I'm on, it's taken me this amount of time on the planet to recognize that this is exactly where I was supposed to be, and this was already ordained. So I was born on the West Coast. I grew up in New York, right? I was born on the West Coast, came to New York at age 4 to live with my father. And then 3 years after that, literally was snatched off the streets, my younger brother and I, by my mom, and taken back to California. And I did first and second grade in Muhammad's University of Islam in the Nation of Islam, Mosque 27, Los Angeles, California. Here's where it gets interesting. The head minister of Mosque 27 at that time was Minister Abdul. Hold on. Drawing a blank. Why am I drawing a blank? It'll come to me. It'll come to me. But his name is very significant. It'll come to me.
Okay.
This is why. Because it was there that I first heard the name Prophet Noble Jew Ali. This minister was named by his mother when they lived in Hartford, Connecticut. She was named after a leader in the Rif army fighting against the French during the French occupation of Morocco. He was named after that man. Why? Because she was a member of Temple 35, the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Got you.
That's a fact. And so I did first and second grade in the Nation of Islam. Then moved back to live with my father. My father became a Christian minister. So with a doctorate in theology. So I was, I was immersed into that.
Exactly.
Then as a young teen out in the streets, ran right back into those same lessons of the Nation of Islam, the 5% Nation. And then that led me to occultism, esotericism, things like that of that nature, just following the train of thought. And eventually the Moorish movement. And and so I officially became a member of the Moorish movement in the general sense the summer of 1991.
And what made you delve into that train of thought as opposed to other identities? Like what made this one different?
Wow. In retrospect, brother, I mean, at the time it was, wow, okay, this is interesting. And the way it was being presented, even though it wasn't 100% correct or accurate, the way it was being presented was liberation. Let's get free. And I was half a hot shot. When you're young, you feel you're bulletproof and you ready to try anything, half cocked, and that's where I was at. So it was like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Now, in retrospect, brother, the seed was planted way back when I was in first grade because I heard that name again. You know what I mean? I heard that name, Noble Jew Ali again. Like, wait a minute. And so it was kind of like, I felt like it was bringing me back to something that I had left, that I needed to pick back up. That's kind of what it felt like. You know what I mean? And you ever had those situations, and this is real talk right here, you ever had those situations where something inside said, yeah, that right there, go there. And you don't fully understand why, but you listen. You know what I'm saying? You listen. You don't fully understand why at the time. Religious people call that pious deeds, meaning you do what you were instructed to do, even when you don't understand why and what it's for.
And I respect that. And I want a question for both of y'all because I'm trying to put myself in the mind frame of the person who is skeptical to the point where they won't inquire and study. And I'm trying my best to demystify that. So what was how can I put it? Why should people focus or give more attention to this concept as opposed to being calling themselves a foundational Black American or a Native American or a Black American or Hebrew Israelite? Like, why should people pay credence to this, and does it infringe on their other identities?
Go ahead, brother.
All right, but before I answer that, I loved how you opened up about your journey, and I think that's important to kind of capture so that the audience is aware of who we are, what we're discussing, because everybody has their own journey, right? Everybody has their own journey spiritually, mentally, and I'll keep mine brief, but I think it's important that I say that part before answering it because it ties in. Basically, I grew up Pentecostal. I was born into a Pentecostal Christian family. My mom was Pentecostal. She went to I think it was a Church of God in Christ. And that's like the biggest church in the Black church in the country. But my brother in Brooklyn, New York, was a part of the Ansar law community.
Okay.
Right? And my uncle was a member of the DAR. The one, there's some background stuff, brothers.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I said, yo, they definitely hating on. I said, just show me the video of him trying to log in, and it's definitely some chicanery going on.
Wow, wow.
He literally just gave me a screenshot of him logging in, and when it takes you to allow your mic, it literally takes him right back to the beginning. Like, it's really, somebody's really like, these are powerful minds that you probably never even seen all on one stream at the same time.
That's a fact.
It really is going to disturb a lot of it. It's really, it's a glitch in the matrix. Like this, we're going to do it again, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be the first time. Like, Sharif, you're always, because long story short, not mean to cut Monster's wisdom, because it's not definitely about me. It's definitely about you guys' wisdom. But what I told Monster, like what I try to do is, I'm trying to be the spook who set out a door type of thing. It's like, yeah, I'm in tune with these conversations about, you know, the man and the woman and the dating, but it's like y'all talking about symptoms that's going to ultimately have to take you to a cure. I know a couple people, you know what I'm saying? Why don't you come check this out? You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to pivot the attention of nonsense information to real tangible information the best way I possibly can. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm here, bro. It's a vacuum of people that's just hearing nonsense on a daily basis. They have no idea. They just have these trivial perspectives of what consciousness is, and you know they just coin stuff. Now everything is just liberal or conservative. It's you know, if you have any type of consciousnness, you're a Pan-Africanist. It's like they just label you and just keep going. It's like that's not intelligent. You know what I'm saying? That's not what we on. But they playing with our sin, man. We going, inshallah, he can still come up.
Hopefully he keep trying, because we gotta have him up here. We definitely need the brother up here. You know what I mean? But just to wrap it up, or to finish the train of thought. So my uncle was with the Dar, the Dar Islam movement, which is, you know, of course, with Imam Jamil H. Rap Brown. That's right. Was the leader of, you know, right. And so. And growing up in Brooklyn, New York, there was, and I was East New York, Brooklyn, New York, right? It was a very, very rough neighborhood, you know, next to Brownsville, very rough neighborhood.
I didn't know you were from East New York. I was there yesterday.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just there. I was on Quincy.
Really? Yeah, I was born in Alabama Ave between Dumont and Livonia. Anybody from the city know what time it is, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so there was a park growing up. There was a park there where women used to get assaulted, people used to get shot, people used to get, you know, it was a lot of negative activity happening in that park. And my uncle in the movement he was a part of, they literally cleaned that neighborhood up, and to the point where they called it the Muslim Park. Right? Now, I don't know if they still call it that, but all the way till I was an adult and moved away and did everything, we still called it the Muslim Park.
Muslim Park.
So I always had a perspective of how Islam brought masculinity to the community in a way where it made men upright, at least in our community, right?
That's right.
And so my mom, you know, she had white Jesus in the house and everything like that. And she kicked my older brother out because he was bringing in the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So after he left, she took white Jesus down, and she was in college at the time. So she started bringing in all of these books on African history. Like when I was 7 to 8 years old, I read George G.M. James. What's the name of that book?
Nature.
No, Stolen Legacy. Stolen Legacy from Babylon to Timbuktu. You know, all of these books from John Henry Clark, and so she brought a lot of knowledge in.
Hold on real quick, Mansa. That link is not for nobody but Aseer. This is not an open panel discussion, respectfully. That link is for Aseer. Aseer, if you're watching, I posted the link at the top of the chat. Please try to log in from there, brother. I ain't never seen nothing like this. Somebody definitely messing with this. They knew this was going to be too powerful, man. So that link is for Aseer exclusively. That's not one of those channels. But if you donate, you can get a question. But this is definitely a closed panel. So go ahead, Mansa.
Yeah, for sure. So point is that in second grade, I ended up all through grade school, going to school, asking, you know, trying to enlighten the students. Like, yo, do y'all know who Marcus Garvey is? Do you know who these black leaders is? So I'm stating this to show that. Okay, and there's another book called, my mother brought this book, and it was one in red and it was one in orange or yellow. It was called Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. Right?
Yes.
You know that book. Yes. Classic book. So so you know, the 90s was wild. So the whole point is, there was a lot of knowledge that was proliferating in our community. A lot of our people sacrificed so much to bring so much information forward.
But the
So
man
the reason
you said the 90s was wild, not just wild in terms of info, but wild, the streets was gladiators.
Yes. Yeah, man. It was nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know so many brothers that hadn't even made it past 16. You know what I mean? Like, almost my whole school, you know what I mean? The dudes I grew up with didn't even make it past 16. That's how crazy the 90s was. And so I'm saying that to say that there's always been like this guiding element, you know, to my life in terms of service and work in our community and helping improve it. So, you know, you get older, you get involved with different things. And so I get to a point where I'm 18 years old and Christianity just wasn't doing it for me. But all throughout this Christianity, being Christian, my mom used to bring in books on the Illuminati. She just had a major influence on me because she kept knowledge around, right? So a lot of stuff that's common knowledge, that's becoming common knowledge, I knew these things growing up, and that's not to flex, right? It's just to expose that where I was at and where I'm at now, right? Because it's pertinent to the question you asked, brother. So just moving along that line, I get to a point where I'm like, you know, being a Christian isn't enough for me. I said, you know what? I'm gonna find the truth. And if I don't find anything out there that's truthful like that, I'm gonna make my own religion. Come on. So that's my arrogance. You know what I'm saying? My hubris, my arrogance. But at the same time, what it did was it gave me the ability to study looking for objective truth. Right. Not looking for confirmation bias. Right. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't studying to find things that were going to confirm what I believed or what I wanted to believe. I was looking for things that were just truthful, right? And so after I went through the esoteric phases, I went through all these phases. So after learning a certain amount of things, I was like, I don't have any questions about how the universe started, all the mysteries, all of these things. I said, what is the hardest thing to do? The hardest thing to do is, how do you live day by day? Whatever system has a daily game plan for you to execute the best life you could live on this earth, that's what I need to do. And so I said, okay, you know, I'm gonna just be Muslim. But I said, nah, I can't do that. I can't just switch religions. I gotta follow the truth, right? So after I get to that point, I started out as an entrepreneur fresh out of high school. And I ended up having some problems with the banks, you know, because I started getting into business around the time where the internet was becoming a thing during the .com bubble, right after high school and going into college. And so I ended up getting a lot of money taken from me through banks, right? And it was a black banker, a quote unquote African-American brother who was a manager of the bank. He said, let me take your side, young fella, because I see you out here trying to do your thing. He said, I hate to tell you, man, but black people have $600,000 that they're able to make in their lifetime without tripping the system. You're either going to have to work for a white man, a white company, or get paid by a white company, or be doing business with white companies in order to make that much money in the system. And this is basically, it's just a sidebar. I won't say the bank, I won't say his name. This is just a sidebar. He pulled me to the side. And so that always stuck with me. Like, you mean to tell me because I'm black that there's a ceiling to how much I could make just on my own, right? Wow. And so that pause, I didn't understand it at the time. So I'm studying. And then I come across the Moorish paradigm. Yes. And I said, oh no, this is it. This is it. Because it allowed me to see that making money, if the New York Times put an article out and says, specifically as it pertains to black men, if you make money, if you're born rich, the system will pretty much bankrupt you by the time you're dead. So there's systems in place to make sure that money isn't the thing that gives us liberation.
Wow.
It just gives us the freedom to operate a little bit more or less restrictive than everybody else in our community. So in my personal run-in with this, it allowed me to see that, man, like, if I'm gonna make a lot of money, I built up a lot of money in their system. They could just take it because of my identity. So coming across the Moorish paradigm really had me like, oh, nah, this is it. This is where I need to be. And so moving along that line, when I started, and see, I studied the Moors before coming into contact with the Moorish paradigm, because I didn't know it was a movement out there, people who was claiming they Moors. I just, doing the history and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, these guys were just monumental in history, right?
Yes.
And so when I came across the Moorish paradigm, it was like, oh, nah, so you mean to tell me somebody found a way to attach that identity to today? I said, nah, this is where I need to be.
Yes, sir.
And so the last part I'll say is, after being in the Moorish paradigm and going through some turbulence and ups and downs, I'm traditional Sunni Muslim, right? You know, I follow Quran and Sunnah, but I'm not one of those who reject or deject other interpretations and understandings, especially where there's commonality and common ground with my brothers.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Because what I found out upon traveling the world is that every culture has their own unique way of interpreting their religious, cultural, nuanced understanding of things.
That's a fact.
Right? And so, and then there's something that I saw in my own family was that one side of my family is Muslim, the other side is Christian, and we all get along perfectly. You know what I mean? It's like a perfect balance. You know what I mean? So what prompted me to do that is I'm looking at history. I'm like, so what made these guys so powerful? And then I'm like, okay, this is what they were studying. This is what they were dealing with. So I say all of that to say this. Upon all of that study and part, that's my story, that's my journey. What I came to understand is that the place where we are most vulnerable is not in making money. A lot of our people think, all we got to do is just make money. We've had towns that we've built. We've been economic powerhouse in this country throughout our stay in this system. But legally and politically is where we are weak at.
Yep.
And that's where we get exploited at. And the Moorish identity, Moorish nationality, the Moorish paradigm is the only mechanism that deals with that properly, because our legal and political vulnerabilities stem from the stripping of our identity, which the 13th Amendment, the second part of the 13th Amendment, prohibits incidents, relics, and vestiges of slavery. They said in order to make slavery, in order to outlaw it and to make it and prohibit it, you have to prohibit the things that allow for it to proliferate. And if anybody, whether you believe, I know there's controversy around roots and everything like that, but the thing that roots captures under this particular narrative is the stripping process when they made Kunta take on the name Toby. Now there's case law in the United States where, and we talked about this on another show, Brother Sharif, where it speaks about how denationalization is worse than torture.
Yes.
Because it robs a person of centuries of an identity in the making.
So let me ask you brothers this. What do you say to the person who says, well, I could say whatever I want to say. I could be whatever I want to be as long as I have certain things behind me. If I want to be black, I could start that. I could be whatever. Why are they right or wrong in that statement? Why can't they just say I'm whatever I want to be? Why is there truth or falsehood in that statement?
I'll let you have that because I was talking for a while, my brother.
Well, first and foremost, now you said some things, bro. Especially that whole thing with the banker gentleman told you. That's humongous.
Yeah.
That's honest. Huge. You want to talk about addressing the racial wealth gap? You know something that 90% of us don't know. See, we can point to redlining, we can point to all this other stuff, which is factual and which is impactful. But what you said just now, sheesh, that was worth the price of admission. It really was. I wrote that down. I said, okay. Yeah, that's serious. But now, so Illa, this is what I would say. That first and foremost, this is what I would say, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful or abrasive. The person's thoughts are wrong. We are not individuals. The problem is that we think that's part of what we call the Negro problem, is that we can't think past our own nose.
Talk to him.
A thing about denationalization, as Brother Mansa was just bringing up, is not just the loss of identity, but the loss of the ability to organize based on that identity.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Our biggest issue is organization. I can prove it real easy in the streets. The RICO laws were put together to take down the Italian mafia. Once that was done, who were they applied to? And the crime in a RICO case, in an 848 case, is not robbing, stealing, selling drugs, shooting, whatever. It's belonging to a criminal organization. They don't care about listen, they consider the current state in Chicago and in Watts to be a success because it destroyed the organizational ability. So they now fight and kill each other. The biggest crime when it comes to our people in America socially is organization. The ability to do so. And what is the primary way people organize? National identity.
Yes, sir.
So what about the people that say, okay, we're nationalizing as foundational Black Americans, or I'm nationalizing as the Hebrew Israelite? Why? What's the difference between the three? And should we come to a consensus at some point, or is it a free for all where you just get in where you fit in, or is it?
And Brother Illa, these are great questions because he's firing both barrels. He ain't being.
I know.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. He's taking it there.
Listen out, you know what I mean, from the perspective of someone who's just always they're not going to read, so they're just going to ask you questions, ask you questions. So I've come to the conclusion that you guys have come to, you men have come to, but a lot of people, these are the questions they ask, and they think it's just a matter of the Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills. I just want to pick whatever team. It's like, no, it's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And you should know. So what's the difference between the three, and why is there a remedy in this perspective as opposed to others, or a more complete remedy? Because I feel like anybody that's beyond Black is at least on the right train of thought. But it leads you somewhere else. But go ahead, bro.
So when it comes to foundational Black Americans, see, I'm in this kind of, we was talking about this backstage, but I'm not gonna get into it. I'm just gonna reference it.
Right.
Point is, like, everything that's happening needs to happen, right? So when you talk about the phenomenon that has occurred, considering a foundational Black American or American descendants of slaves, what this is an attempt to do is to define the ethnology of those who are considered Black. So they speak about it being a lineage, right? The only issue is if you start your lineage with slavery, you miss the benchmark on who you were prior to it.
Come on, brother.
You see, because what happened is it wasn't an election. We're a population that, if you started at slavery, didn't choose to be a people, right? So when we get into the details of what actually created the freedmen and this concept that we now call the foundational Black American, what happened is during the discussions to free the slaves, right? They said that we can't give them rights that they didn't have in medieval England. In the common law, they say common law, but when they mean common law, they really talk about medieval England.
That's right. That's right.
So there were no freedmen because they said that's a status in law. It's not it's an identity, but it's not a status in law, like officially, to just be free. Because there was this space between the 13th and the 14th Amendment being passed where our people in this country were in a state sort of similar to the Indians, where they were like wards, because the federal government is the only ones who had jurisdiction over them. not the states. You see what I'm saying? And so when we look back in medieval or common law of England, we see that they were Moors there and that there were treaties with Moors. You understand? So what that does is that brings us to Article 6 of the Constitution. Article 6 of the Constitution is the supremacy clause that states all treaties and agreements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be legally binding and a part of the supreme law of the land.
And hold up real quick, Mansa. Hold up. We got 76 people in the building. Look, we got to get these likes up. You know what I'm saying? This is still intellectual conversation, but this is still content. We still trying to give y'all good stuff. Support the channel. You know what I'm saying? It don't cost you no money to do that. If you could come in here and spectate, it don't cost you nothing to hit that like button, to keep us in the algorithm, to keep people coming to the channel. That helps me grow. That helps me keep bringing good content. Like I see y'all, it's a lot of nonsense out here in these YouTube streets. Whether you agree with the concept or not, this is a peaceful demonstration. It's an informative demonstration. It's a perspective that's giving you a deeper understanding of yourself. Whether you agree with it or not, it's not even relevant at this point. It's the attempt to show you something positive, to show you in a different light of yourself. So that's worthy to be supported. So hit the Cash App if you can. If you can do nothing else, just hit the like button and hit the stream, show love, super chat. You know what I'm saying? As we grow, the content grows. You know what I'm saying? We're not passing around no little bucket. You already know what time.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was a trap. Don't be hitting on me.
This ain't that, man. This is not. Listen, support the channel. Get the likes up. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep the algorithm going. The floor is on you, Mansa. Peace.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I wrap it, brother Sharif, so I could toss you. You cook it. Yeah. You cook it. So the thing about it is the reason these things are significant is because, again, when we go back to what we delineate, the delineation concept is it's a discussion that needs to happen, right? Whether I agree with the labeling, it's something that needs to happen, and it's a stepping stone to get people into the Moorish paradigm. Because when you're talking about delineating and accepting a certain lineage, saying this is a lineage, nationality is lineage. You see, that's the missing caveat. With nationality comes lineage. You see, and so we was talking about the supremacy clause. The supremacy clause was set up to allow for treaty agreements to exist in a space in the United States where those who have treaties with the United States will be on a certain footing. You see. Because what you hear a lot of times from my people is that the Constitution calls us 3/5 of a man and all these different things, but it's all based on your status, and with status you have national identity. You see, and so what people don't realize is these treaties were made in many ways to end the wars between the Christians and the Moors.
You got it.
You see, so there's a whole lot of things that took place prior to us coming here and being enslaved, and not all of us was enslaved, of course. This is just one particular narrative, because we know there's an indigenous element to us that we've been coming back and forth here, and they interrupted the trade, and they brought some of our people from the west coast of Africa because they were good with rice. Like my mother is from South Carolina. My great-grandfather escaped slavery from Georgetown, South Carolina to Charleston, South Carolina. Matter of fact, to Marysville, South Carolina, and Marysville was a free black town started by a black woman. My family still has our own grave there and everything, right? And they're Gullah Geechee people, right? And we love rice. That's because they were growing rice in parts of the Gullah Geechee people were growing rice in the Gambia. You see what I'm saying? So there was all this traveling going on, and people was getting mixed up, and they were taking over a global trade that we already had established. So when you start with slavery, you cut yourself off from the lineage and descent of this greatness where we have an identity that's protected under rights. And we have instances within slavery with Ibn Sori, I forget his first name. I want to say Ibrahim, but he was a prince among slaves. Anybody could Google that and check that out, right? And so when he petitioned, he wrote the Sultan of Morocco and he spoke to Quincy Adams, I believe, at the time, to get his freedom. See, so we have multiple instances like that, and just moving it forward. When we talk about the Hebrew element of it, the Hebrew identity. If you notice a lot, and I got a lot of love for my Hebrew Israelite brothers.
And real quick before you go away, because I want to hear this. It's funny that you brought up South Carolina, because I remember that years ago there was a commemorative quarter that they dropped. I don't know if you remember, but the Fort Moultrie quarter of South Carolina. Look what's on the quarter, y'all.
Woo! Wow!
Did y'all remember that quarter that dropped?
Dog, this is my first time even seeing this. He
That's
got a
crazy.
fez on.
Exactly.
He got a fez on.
For South Carolina.
Yeah. See, you also have in South Carolina, you also had the petition that the Sundry Moors filed when they was dropping the Negro Act.
That's
you
right.
See what I'm saying? And then you also have this thing called the Negro Law of South Carolina, I believe, where it says that enslaved Negroes shall be confined to slave Africans.
Yes.
Ancient Berbers and their descendants. And we have to remember in all of the dictionaries where they didn't allow us to read, the word Moor meant black man, not just black, but black man or Negro man in particular, right? Not that we're saying they're one and the same, but that was the labeling for Moors during that period, you know. And so you had something called Judeos Moros, right? And Beni Yisrael, all of that was in the Iberian Peninsula. They were under the Moorish identity, because when Moorish Jews were forced to convert or leave, they were called Morano.
Come on now.
And then when the Muslim ones were forced to convert, they were called Morisco.
That's right.
So and also the Moors had treaties protecting the Jewish Moors under those particular treaties when they were doing business with the European Christian nations. So when the Hebrew Israelite brothers want to, anytime you go into their literature, they start talking about the same history that the Moors is talking about. But the difference is that the Moorish identity is all encompassing. It includes that. In fact, the oldest quote unquote black Jewish or Hebrew movement in America was started by the Moorish Zionist temple.
That's right.
Okay, anybody can pull that up. The Moorish Hebrew Zionists or something like that. They was the oldest. You see?
Right.
So they just, for some reason, dropped the Moorish banner. So you got to understand that Moor encapsulates all of these different subgroups that are splintering off, because that's the national identity. They just removed the nationality from it. And I digress.
The funny thing is, like this comment right here, so that treaty does not apply anymore because the Moorish Empire no longer exists, so they don't respect that treaty by law. Well, you can apply that to the title of black. You know what I mean? Despite what our people have done under the title of black, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to respect you.
Can I touch on that
necessarily,
too?
Go ahead.
I like to touch on that. First of all, that's, respectfully, that's incorrect. The United States to this day recognizes that the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is the longest standing ongoing treaty in America. As a matter of fact, it was that treaty, and as Brother Mansa pointed out, the context behind the treaty was to begin to end the conflicts on the high seas between our forefathers, the Barbary powers, and the other European nations. That's what it was meant to do. And that treaty was the first treaty to recognize the 13 colonies as a nation among nations in the international community, which is the final step it takes to be recognized as a nation.
Absolutely. And I just want to add this piece to it, and I'll pass it back to you, because we get that a lot. We get that comment a lot.
Yeah.
See, we have to have the mental capacity to stay with a concept and see it all the way through, because a lot of times we have a lazy mind, right? So that treaty is significant, not because we're specifically trying to derive a modern day right from it, right?
Bingo. Thank you.
But what it does is it establishes our place in history.
You got it.
You can only know true history if you study wars and the treaties derived from those wars. Everything else is speculation. See, when you really studying the truth of things, you're getting people's perspectives on history and stuff like that, which is great. But when you study the wars and you study the treaties that come from those wars, then you're in the space where you're getting real factual data.
Got it.
And those treaties say Muslim.
That's what
when they're written in Arabic. They didn't say Moors.
Right.
The powerful part about it saying Moors is that that's what the United States translated it into.
Bingo.
Because they wanted to highlight the identity of who they was making this agreements with. You see?
Let me jump. I want to jump into that real quick. See, now we're back on the identity issue. We've been miseducated in America, our people, when it comes to the nuances regarding identity.
Mm-hmm.
Even Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, in our Moorish literature, mentions, he says, the Moors or Mohammedans. In other words, in the old world, identity was largely religious based. So there's religious identity, there's ethnic or ethnological identity, and then there's socio-political identity.
Yeah.
Understand that? So as Brother Mansa just pointed out, there was a particular point in history that gets glossed over in the West about world history, about how the West, Western civilization, the foundation of it is both African and Islamic rule. That's the part they want to keep out. So they'll go to the Roman Empire, fall of the Roman Empire, rise of the Holy Roman Empire, all the way to Christopher Columbus, and skip those 780 plus years, when an African Islamic political power that encompassed many different ethnologies, tribes, etc.
Right.
That ran
Absolutely.
and civilized Europe and was the foundation of Western civilization.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So with that being said, what do you say to the person that says, well, I'm not African, I'm Cherokee, I'm Native American, I'm not what does Moorish identity have to do with me? I'm a Native American, I'm an indigenous Aboriginal American. What's your perspective?
We used to say, I'll be brief, but we used to say
you can elaborate.
In the 5% nation, we used to say, make your understanding understood, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the Moorish Science of America, we say, be not like the horse and the mule between whom there's no understanding. In other words, the horse and the mule just look alike. So we could be using the same words, but do we mean the same thing by the words? So when people say, I'm not African, how do you define African? And 98% of the time, what they're really trying to say is, I don't conform to we all came here as slaves from Africa. And on that, we can agree. You see? But if we're talking about any type of African connection or African descent, well, that's way broader than just the myopic idea that we all came here on slave ships. Abu Bakr II was here 300 years prior, not as a slave. You see my point? So follow me. If you've got a Malian, West African, Senegambian expedition, pre-Columbian era, where hundreds of ships, not just one expedition, but two, were here in the Americas. And then 300 years later, you got Africans from Spain coming to the Caribbean and meeting up with the descendants of those Africans that came 300 years prior. Would you call those descendants natives or African? The problem in their question is using the word or.
I wanna read something to you that I read to Mansa. It's from a book called The Dogs of God. And I want your opinion on this excerpt, because people like to ask me about.
That's his book. That's his Illa. That's his book. He was quoting that on the show we did. That's his book right there.
I got it from Sharif. I heard him quote the book, because unlike a lot of people, when I hear these books, I buy them. Like, I'm not just saying, well, he said it. No, I'm gonna go and show and prove. You know what I'm saying? And y'all never let me down. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is not even in the beginning. This is just in the prologue of the book.
Yes.
And I'm gonna read the short part. It says, in fact, it is little appreciated, especially by Americans, how intimately the discovery of the New World is bound up with the victory of Christianity over Islam in the so-called Spanish Reconquest, with the expulsion of the Jews, the terrible Spanish Inquisition, and with the papacy of a Borgia Pope. In this book, I've tried to make those links. Yada, yada, yada. Then it says this: it has been suggested that the three most important years in American history are 1492, 1776, and 1865. Of these, 1492 goes far beyond American history. It is pivotal as well in Spanish history, in Jewish history, in Arab history, in world and church history. Indeed, it is difficult to imagine another single year in the past millennium when so many significant strands of history came together and so changed the world in one swoop. The completion of the 500-year movement to conquer the Moors, the end of the 800-year reign of the glorious culture of Islamic Spain, the consolidation of the modern Spanish state, the sinister explosion of the Spanish Inquisition, the Spanish in art and literature, the expulsion of the Jews, the discovery of the New World, and the subsequent division of the world between Spanish and Portugal. When I read that, I said the most important 3 years in American history was 1492, 1776, and 1865. And of the three, 1492 goes far. Like y'all heard, like when I had, it's like they're telling you that your understanding of what you think America is tied to this historical event. So when you hear that, what do you say to that?
Brother? Well, okay. So, right. Let's put on our investigative hat, right? So if he names those three dates, which James Weston Jr. did, 1492, 1776, and 1865, then we can look at, as Brother Mansa said, look at the wars, because 1492 is significant regarding warfare.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
1876.
Man, the way you piece that together is dope. I'm listening. Yeah, the way you piece that together.
1865. That means, brother, if we look at it deeply, we can find a continuity weaving itself through all three dates. You understand? Let's look at the first and the last date, 1492, 1865. 1492, we're talking the end of the Reconquista, those 500 years, the Pale-Europeans were fighting to gain control of Europe over our forefathers, right? And, of course, it accelerated through a number of things. Two of the main things, the marriage of Ferdinand and Isabella, which united the kingdoms of Aragon and Castile. And then two, the initiating of the Spanish Inquisition under Torquemada, right? Okay, so we know what Spanish Inquisition was about, right? So now we got those 3 days. Let's go to the first one. Let's skip over 1776. We don't need to, but let's do it real quick. Go to 1865. What took place there? Civil War, right? And then Reconstruction, right? Which began, Reconstruction is specifically the year 1877, the Compromise of 1877, which we saw the rise of the Neo-Confederates, the rise of the KKK, the Red Shirts, and the White League, right? The rise of the and the origin of Jim Crowism, the era of mass lynchings that were initiated and perpetuated through the church. So when you look at it from that perspective that James Weston Jr. gives, it's not hard to see that lynch, for instance, is just one parallel. Lynching culture is an extension of the Inquisition.
Absolutely.
And it's like study would take you to that place. But you want to add on to that, Mansa? Go ahead.
Please.
Yeah. No. I mean, excellent. The way you piece that together, especially from talking about how you got to track real history through the wars and the treaties. And so just to add on to that, 1492, we lose the stronghold in Andalusia, right? 1776, the independence and founding of the United States of America. 1865, the end of the Civil War. Yes. The thing that the commonality, as the brother was saying, the other commonality that we see with this is that it's the same people within conflict. That's what they're missing,
people, brother.
You see what I'm saying? These same people are having these conflicts over hundreds of years. It's because our people are locked into thinking that, the Moorish Empire could be considered the Empire of Morocco It is larger than that. But if we want to be restrictive, we'll say that was from the northern coast of Morocco down to the Niger Basin.
It's a fact.
That's factual. But when you dig deeper into the history, like we was going over in some of the stuff on our show, where you talk about the George Oshman, who spoke from the Whig Party, talking about Mexico is where the Mauritanian races and their Indian compatriots or friends are at. You see?
He said that in 1842.
1842. So he's recognizing, and then you also got to understand that, and you brought that map out that's just going viral right now.
Some links y'all want to drop? I'll share the screen if y'all got some.
Okay. All right. I got to pull them up. I got to pull them up. I'll do it when you're talking. So the maps that show that how much New Spain had, because see, people don't realize that the Brits or the English was the last to get into the business of human trafficking, because we're not even going to use slavery no more. We're just going to call it human trafficking, because that's really what it is. So because New Spain took up all the Midwest, from Florida also up into the Carolinas and all of the West, down into Mexico, Guatemala, all that stuff, right, was New Spain. So they have the records of when they were here and how their interaction with Moors. You understand? Yeah. And so, just to touch on what you were saying, Brother Illa, about people say I'm Native American, I'm Indian. It was the Moors who first introduced the concept that black, quote unquote, black people are indigenous to the Americas. No other paradigm or group of people or nation of people brought that knowledge forward. Noble Drew Ali says, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm paraphrasing, that we are home. It's the European that's 3,000 miles away.
That's exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So the very concept that we are indigenous to America come from the Moorish paradigm. On top of the fact that in 1621, in regards to Montezuma, and it's in the Peabody Museum about Harvard University, Montezuma, they replaced the word Moorish and substituted it for Indian in 1621. So that means anytime you use the word Indian, originally it's synonymous with Moor. But it was originally the word that was being used to describe the people on this side of the hemisphere was Moors. And I'll land my plane here. Christopher Columbus in his journal said when he came to the island of Hispaniola, or when he first got to the islands in the Americas, that he saw mosques and minarets.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because
similar to what they saw in Spain.
He thought they was in India because of the same garb, because even the Indians wear their head wrap. So he thought he was in India. That's why they called him like the West Indies, because he thought he was in India. And it's funny because what people don't realize, the word Moor is almost a type of word that gives you dual citizenship on a level, because it's something that's already in the lexicon of the world's vernacular. They have to include Negro. Negro is something you have to convince them why that's relevant. That's why they don't really they're not synonymous with that. That's why we hear a lot of people say, I'm not black. Yeah, there's some connotation on behavior with that, but they also are saying I'm not that because that doesn't describe what a human is where I'm from. Like the word Moor is already in the language. It's already in the lexicon all over the world. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, we talk about we've been lied to so much, and then when people reveal the truth to you, you still want to question it. It's like at some point we're going to have to pick a side. You're going to have to really apply some thought to this. It's a reason why the word that's been right in front of you has also been hidden from you at the same time. But go ahead.
There's a reason, brother, and to your point, right? Like you mentioned the whole thing, like, you know, in a sense, dual citizenship. Brother, that's in short, in an oversimplified way, that is the function of nationality in America. You hear me? That's the function. This is follow me. In the old world, what was the social prerequisite for citizenship? Ethnology. To be an Italian citizen, I gotta be what? Italian.
Yep.
Get it? And then there's subdivisions, ethnological subdivisions, right? Like Calabrese, Sicilian, etc. But they're only known by those divisions inside the political borders of Italy. Outside, national identity, Italian, right? So in the new world, what's the social prerequisite to answer up to the standard? You have to be able to say where you're from, because this is e pluribus unum, one nation made up of people with many different old world connections.
Absolutely.
See how that works?
Absolutely, bro.
So now think about what Italian Americans or Irish Americans do. They're American citizens, but they have ties to the motherland, and they use those ties socially, economically, politically. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
But then you got people that I know, and they'll say, "Oh, the Africans sold us into slavery, so they are enemy." Like that seems to be a conversation that's coming up. I think it's really petty to me, because it's like, if we apply that thinking, can we apply that to our brothers here and say, "Oh, well, they gang bang on 25th Street"? So, like we can always point out a subgroup that sell each other out for one thing or another. Like,
but brother Illa, what you do, see, and I'm glad you brought that up, because again, remember, we have to start to analyze. There is, metacognition is a term, right?
Go there.
The ability to think about your own thinking.
They say that's the highest form of intelligence.
Highest level of intelligence, bro. To be able to think about your own thinking. So yes, you're 100% correct. So many of our people are like, yeah, the Africans. Define African. I'll wait. Define it. What is that?
Right.
See, nobody just goes to Africa.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's like saying, right? In other words, I'm going to Africa. No, you went to Nigeria. You went to Cameroon. You went to, you see my point, bro? There's, in the modern era, there's 54 nations on that continent. You need to just go to a continent.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So we have to really analyze how we are thinking about these things. Before you see, we really do. We have to. Noble Drew Ali said it like this: if I can get you to think, you can save yourself. Now that hurts. I'm going to tell you why. Because we presume, we take offense to that. We presume that because I got thoughts in my head, I'm thinking. Yeah. Anybody who's taken a marketing class knows the truth of that. If you're taking an advertising class, you know better.
Brother Sharif, I've literally been attacked for referring our people to literature in this space. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've really, they've told me that, yo, Illa, I'm just want to ask you, like, what's the point of knowing your history? Like, what's the really point of all of that? Like, what that got to do with today? And it's like, these are the when I realized these are people that's getting followers and getting people to watch their shows, I said, Mansa, y'all got to come through, man. Because another thing, I think sometimes a lot of this information sometimes can be regional. And I think that being from where we're from, we're exposed to so many different cultures, so many different trains of thought, and we're constantly challenged on those things. So it's like, we've sharpened this. This is not, we've been challenged on these thoughts for a long time, but we're in a space where it's a lot of people from different parts. Like, it's like this space it's a lot of people from the South. I'm just gonna say it's a lot of Southerners, and they're speaking on behalf of a limited perspective to something that is a global perspective. And it's like, being from up north, it's like, it's the closest thing. Living in the New York tri-state area, that's like living overseas. You know what I'm saying? It has that same type of flavor. So down south is not like that unless you're in like a major city. Like, it's really black folk, white folk. You know what I'm saying? It's really like a really different type of lifestyle that is not inclusive of a global perspective. And I think that the Moorish conversation, it puts you in a global citizen perspective that I think as a people we need to take on that. And it's funny that the FBA movement, which to a degree is kind of pulling us away from that, has come in at this time, I think is extremely divisive.
I want to say something real quick, but I want to hear Mansa's word on this. I really do. I see his wheels turning. No, real quick, I just want to say to your point, brother Illa, you know, we don't realize, we as teachers, right, we have to do a better job in conveying to our people, that they got skin in the game internationally. You know what I'm saying? That they don't live in some little bubble, even though it feels like it. You know? And you know, and now, mind you, the whole myopic identity that we've been given, the artificial identity and history we've been given, is a bubble. But it's got cables connected to it, and people are siphoning from it at your expense.
Yes.
You see? So that was it. I just wanted to say that.
No, absolutely. Yeah, man, brother. I said we gonna get it right, my brother.
Yes, we are.
Inshallah, we're gonna get it right. You know what I'm saying?
We are.
The young lady that said, "Where's Aseer?" He tried to. He literally showed me the screen of him trying to log on. There's definitely some chicanery. They definitely didn't want all these atomic bombs to go off at once. Because, like, y'all got to realize don't ever think this ain't spiritual warfare. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see how many shows go on with no problem, talking about nothing, black fatigue, all this goofy shit. Now, you see, we come with some real information. They want to give us all these hard times. So, as you can see, when you really talking something real, you're going to deal with some opposition. And that's why y'all need to support the channel so we can keep this information moving. You know what I mean? Please support the channel, donate, support the channel, support these brothers. Sharif, I think I need your links. I put Monsters and I said I need your links for your whatever you want people to get in touch with you.
I got you.
Cash apps and things like that. Like, please support the brothers, support the channel. Monsters, bro.
So, again, everything that's happening needs to happen. And this discussion of, so again, this is the first time in history that we've been able to talk to each other in real time globally, in real time. So there's some straightening that's taking place, and there's understanding that's taking place. And another thing people got to also understand about Africa, right? What we call Africa today is throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they had a lot of civil wars, and they have the youngest population in the world.
That's fact.
Right? Like 60 to 70% of them are under the age of 35. Yeah. So a lot of their elders, they don't have a lot of elders like that that's still alive. And a lot of them died in the civil wars. And a lot of the progress that was made according to Pan-Africanism got lost because of those civil wars, right? So they're a young population relatively. So that's something to take into consideration. The other thing is this. They'll say, I'm not black, I'm Nigerian, I'm Liberian. These are nationalities.
Yes.
And the conflict is that our people are identifying racially and not nationally or ethnically. Right. So what that should prompt our people to say is, it's not necessarily that they're adverse. There's some adversity there. Don't get me wrong. There's some exploitation and adversity there. That's clear.
Yes.
But the lack of respect is coming from not claiming or not espousing to some type of national identity, which is what they all did. You see, we're still holding on to the color as the identity, when we know the color is basically an affinity to melanin, which we all have. And see, what they have to understand is, when we got caught up in this human trafficking scheme on the plantation, they would break our families up. They would do all these different things. So we started to base our allegiance on complexion. If you look like me, if you skin folk, you kinfolk, because they were constantly interrupting and disrupting our bloodlines that we were trying to establish with family, right? So that's something to take into consideration. The other thing that has to be understood is that what we've been able to do in America, no other diaspora has been able to reproduce in their country, right? And that is because colonization took place here first before it reached Africa. You see, Africa was being depopulated, but they didn't really start colonizing Africa and get a foothold into it like they have now until the Berlin Conference.
It's a fact.
Right, which is the 1800s, which is when Africa as a continental name was really imposed. Because before that, it really only applied to North Africa in a small part called Libya. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
So it's key to understand these differences, because what it allows us to see is that the conflict isn't where we think it is.
Correct.
We have some liability in not owning up to a national identity, which is what is the attempt of FBA is trying to do with this whole delineation and saying that it's a lineage. But really, if you start your history in slavery, saying that there's an ethnogenesis, which you can do. I'm not saying you can't do it, but when you do that, you cut yourself off from the identity we had prior, which makes it easier for the European sons in the system to discount us in that way, and it puts us at odds with everybody else who's already claimed a national identity.
Got it.
And this is what I like to say, right, fellas? I feel like one thing about the very well said.
Honest.
One thing I noticed. Oh, listen to me. You already know this. But one thing I noticed with the Black demonstration is that they come at people from two directions, either too high or too low. So in other words, they'll come at them with, I'm Black, I'm a slave, where it's like people like, all right. And then they come at them like, well, I'm the Black God or the Black Queen. So it's like, now you're just way above their head. And it's like the Moorish demonstration is looking them right now. It's not too high, it's not too low. It's including them into an understanding that they're already familiar with. It's a conversation that they're willing to have. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the difference between saying I'm Black, because what pushback out here is, well, I do have a nationality. I'm an American, but I'm a Black American. It's like, yeah, you are an American, but
they're right.
Yourself.
And I'm not going to take too long here, but they're right and wrong at the same time, which is something you can be.
Yes.
Because the whole point of establishing the United States of America was to create peace. This is why you have the eagle and the pyramid on the back of the dollar, signifying that there is peace being established between these warring factions, because the pyramid represents the builders of civilization, right? Mm-hmm. Which was the Moors and are the Moors. So here's the problem. They say, I do have a nationality, I'm Black American. Now, in the Nation of Islam, you put X on that because it's unknown, right? So think of Black as that. But it is known we're Moors from the Moorish Empire, descendants of Moroccans. And when you understand geography, we're not talking about the Kingdom of Morocco, Correct. Which was founded in 1956 Correct. And is a remnant of the Empire of Morocco.
That's a fact.
Right? So we're the descendants from that empire born in America, which makes us Moorish Americans, right? Which is identical to German Americans, descendants of Germans born in America, Italian Americans, descendants of Italians born in America, British Americans, descendants of Britons born in, you see what I'm saying? That's the missing piece.
You got it.
That's the missing piece that our people need to understand. We have a nation that we come from. And honestly, I'm gonna wrap it here. Not even just a nation, an empire. We're the only ones who are claiming descendancy from an empire. All the nations in Africa started in the 60s.
Right.
Those are relatively new.
With one exception. But it feeds directly into, it supports your point, brother. Follow me. This is powerful, man. Yo, Mansa, salute to your mind.
Salute to you, my brother. You already know.
So watch this. Let's take citizens of the United Kingdom. We live in a new era of time now, in a number of respects. One of them is this: we're no longer in the age of empires, right? But let's take the citizens of the UK. What do they call themselves? United Kingdomers? No, they call themselves Britons. Why? Because they are descendants of the British Empire and born in the United Kingdom.
Wow. Yo, I didn't see that one.
The thing about it is,
I'm sniped on that one.
It's crazy. The thing about it is, I'm big on medieval movies. I like medieval fantasy and literal medieval based films. I like the one they did on Netflix with Mehmet versus Vlad. I don't know if y'all seen that, where they showed the Ottoman, and I want to talk about the Ottoman Empire as well.
Yeah.
They talked about that, and what people don't realize is, damn, I lost my train of thought. When y'all was cooking so much, I lost my train of thought. You know how I be going, man. It be jumping all around.
No, but you talk about the medieval era. You talk about the medieval.
So the medieval era, right? What people don't realize is nobody changed their name from that time to now but us. The German was the German then. The Englishman was the Englishman, and the Asian was the. Everybody still got the same names.
Can I jump in real quick, brother?
Go ahead.
Okay, because you were going right exactly where I was going, right? We've been conditioned with a false history and a false identity. First and foremost, as Mansa was pointing out, the whole thing about black, right? His headdress is black. You understand you see where I'm going with that? The color code system of race classification was not invented by us, it was invented by them, and it's a caste system operating in the open.
Facts.
What we've done is done reactionary and therapeutic stuff, trying to operate and find a space within the caste system.
Absolutely.
We are so used to othering ourselves that even when there's a doorway out, we stay othering ourselves. You see what I'm saying? And that's what FBA is doing. That's what we're still othering ourselves, right?
Why are we doing it? So to a naive person, they'll say, "Well, aren't you othering yourself? You don't want to be black."
Absolutely not. And Brother Mansa has pointed out, and you pointed out during this show, right? We are returning to our old identity, which is already known the world over. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it like this: it happens through their connection to the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by the nations of the earth. Why? Because our history is known. We didn't just pop up out of some eggs called slavery. You see what I'm saying? And that's another part of the artificial history, right? That what we're suffering from today is residue and remnants of slavery. No, every nation suffered slavery, but name a nation today that's forced to identify themselves by the former condition of servants.
Exactly, because even with slavery, it's like that's an ethnic slur that comes from Slovenian or Slovakian, or you know what I'm saying. So, like Mansa said, we were human traffic. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So it's
exactly.
like POW is
Our
really
issue was denationalization and loss of identity.
Exactly, because people always talk about reparations and we need something back. So it's like, yeah, that's a fair argument, but how? How are you going to present the conversation to even get any kind of remedy if you're not even coming in the name that you fell in? It's like you can't. This is an international law problem. This is not a civil rights issue. This is a global international law issue.
Can I throw this out there really quick? And I'm not going to talk in great detail about it for a number of reasons. But let me just say this, right? For our FBA, ADOS, and BIPOC friends, which again, their argument stemmed from up from slavery, one, and then two, looking for the reparations check. Follow me. They are still largely under the false historical spell that our plight began with slavery. Now, as Brother Mansa knows very, very well about doctrine of discovery and how many nations benefited and where doctrine of discovery started from. Two things. One, if the check is there, you better have your name on it. You catch what I'm saying? It better have your name on it. See, one of the first papal bulls that started doctrine of discovery was Ilias QA in 1442. And it said, and it began the African transatlantic slave trade. And it said, this is a new crusade against the who? The Moors and the Saracens. That's what it said. Okay, Absolutely. Number two, look at how many nations are involved. See, if you're talking about getting reparations from the United States government, it only goes back to 1776, people. Mm-hmm. How long we've been dealing with this slavery issue. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All right. So, and how many other nations were involved? Would you rather get one check or get five?
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. No. I'm glad you went there. I'm glad you went there because I want to add this piece on since they bring up the reparations claim.
Right.
And the Moors are the only ones well positioned to actually do something insignificant about it, because here's the conflict, right? Congress has been telling those who have sued and went before the Supreme Court that you have to get that from Congress. Excuse me. The courts have been telling people you have to go to Congress to get it. Because why? Why do you have to go to Congress to get it? Because it was legal. Slavery was legal. during the time you're trying to sue from it. So we as the courts, we can't give it to you. Congress has to pass legislation to give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? That means we have to prove it was illegal. How do you prove it was illegal?
How you prove that?
Right. So let me give them a piece. Let me give them some source so they can understand why the Moorish paradigm is important to the reparations claim.
Come on now.
So when we look at enslavement of our people, right, we have to say, okay, they said they got us from the west coasts of Africa, right? So a lot of our people who talk about I'm indigenous, I'm aboriginal. I remember we litigated a lot of stuff in court, and when it came down to that point, the court said was moot. That's left up to academia whether y'all indigenous or not, because the narrative that has to be dealt with is we were enslaved from Africa. We were enslaved Africans. So let's deal with that. Where were they getting them from? The West Coast? Okay, fine. But before they hit the West Coast of Africa or West Africa, they were already raiding North Africa and the coasts of Morocco and depopulating those towns, sending them to Andalus and shipping them to the Americas.
That's a fact.
Right? So secondly, we have to look at the jurisdiction. We have treaties between the British and the Sultan of Morocco where he is acknowledged as the ruler of
all West Africa.
So that means that, and then there was the ICJ case where Morocco was suing. This is significant. Morocco, the current state of Morocco was suing Spain over the Western Sahara, this disputed territory.
Yo, that's a mean site that they found.
Y'all
found it. Yeah, bro.
And so they were saying that, listen, what Morocco was arguing that we had all of West Africa. And so that was wherever the Sultan was recognized as Sultan at, his religious suzerainty, as they call it, is where his sovereignty was acknowledged at, right?
Right.
So that means that if the British, and this pertaining to the U.S. because the USA is descendants of the British.
That's right.
Right? So that means that when they were buying, their companies were buying these slaves, it was illegal for them to do so because there was a treaty in place saying that if we meet at sea or on land, we can't be enslaved.
Bingo.
And those were protections for our people. So we can prove under the Moorish identity that the enslavement was illegal. I can go deeper than that, but that's the basis. That's why we can prove the reparations claim.
First of all, you just I didn't even look at it from that perspective. I appreciate you for that one. Thank you.
honest.
I filed that one away. That was Now here's another one. Right? Like I had mentioned earlier, every nation suffered slavery. Right? No other nation has lost or was forced to abandon their collective identity. So we're not just demanding reparations for slavery. We're demanding reparations for the conditions that created a perpetual servitude over a whole nation of people.
Right.
It ain't just reparations for slavery. It's reparations for denationalization.
Man, and that's not an angle that I saw. Considering the fact, that's brilliant, because considering the fact that that case law we spoke about earlier, that speaks about denationalization being worse than torture.
Worse than torture.
You see? So we have the capacity under the Moorish identity to sufficiently make these claims for reparations. Whereas if you're just starting out with being slaves, slavery was legal. You see? And then here's the other thing. When we talk about redlining, when we talk about Jim Crow, you got to understand that they established that black means criminal, slave. So we were in a status that justified the treatment. Not morally, but legally and politically.
Not morally. Thank you, brother. Prophet Drew Ali said it like this. He said, the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those that fail to recognize the free national constitution of their government are classed as undesirables and are subjected to any inferior name mistreatment, and abuse that the citizens care to bestow upon them.
And what I noticed when we said, right, and that's facts. What I noticed when that's said, people would respond and say, "Oh, that's because they don't like black people, so they trying to make that a claim against black people." Like it's like they don't correlate like what it means. It's like they saying that. Of course they saying that because they black. It's like no, you're not that. You're not black. They call you that. That's not what you are. But if you respond to it, it puts you under a certain jurisdiction. It's like the you made the demonstration against Reggie. Like if I say if I call myself blood, then I'm gonna deal with the ramification of calling myself blood or calling myself blood.
There are stipulations and implications directly connected to the label. If I got a box of cookies that says cookies, but I open it up and it's got Cheetos in it, something's wrong.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's the label, and then there's the connotations attached to the label. And to your point, I want to add something, Illa. Right? It's not just the fact that I may say I'm black, right? That I don't get the job, I don't get the raise, I don't get the loan. It's because society, the social environment, has already labeled me so, and has already attached the implications. As Mansa put it out, the term black, Negro, African American is considered socially synonymous with inherent criminality.
Right. And
exactly.
You know what's key about that? What's so significant about that is when you look up the word felony, it means evildoer.
Oof.
Right? And if you notice in the current climate, black fatigue, right? When you get into those conversations with the right evangelical Christians and just the right-wing conservatives in general, what do they keep bringing up? They keep bringing up black criminality.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. We know they do a considerable amount of crime, way more crime. But why is it that subject never broached? Because it doesn't matter. Because in the context that they set, you guys are the evildoer. Because as we established in previous shows and episodes coming out, and I just want to say this too, I'm not one of those people that do like these marketing things, but I got to say this. Me and the brother Sharif got some interviews coming out. Go to our YouTube, Moorish History TV.
Yes.
And we go into deeper things that we're speaking about right now. You know what I'm saying? The first episode is going to be out tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning. So thank you, Illa, for letting me tell the people that. You know what I'm saying? It's significant because of the gaps I'm talking about right now. You see?
Yes.
And so when we look at them bringing up the black crime stat, you have to understand that's because it was a process of making black.
Correct.
It's synonymous, making it synonymous with the devil, evil, and bad things.
Yes.
So in this, and so that happened before Bacon's Rebellion. After Bacon's Rebellion is when white became a status.
Got it.
And then because so-called blacks, so-called whites, all these people teamed up against the elites in the establishment. And the elite said, we can't have that no more.
Right.
So what they did was created the racial color caste system in the United States that has its roots, like you pointed out, brother, in the show, in Iberia.
Yes.
In the conflict with the Moors and the Spaniards.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So our people have to understand that these labels actually mean something, and the rhetoric that they are creating means something. And I think the brother Marquette said it on that show that you was on with Pearl about the black fatigue, where he says that anytime you see a people dehumanizing you and pushing this rhetoric, they're getting you ready for dehumanization so they can justify what they're about to do to you.
There you go. That's it.
That's why all this rhetoric is coming out. Because Obama, during his presidency, he sought to get the term terrorist to be labeled as subhuman, so that you can remove all rights associated with a people once they get labeled subhuman. You see what I'm saying?
And if you realize too, what I think is dangerous, but it was always in play. Black is so ambiguous and it's so open to anyone's interpretation that there is holding arms closely with a lot of degenerate cultures, and they're looking at black as just one conglomerate that's including these other genders and all. They look at it as one thing, and And I think our people got to be careful of that, because we try to act like our plight is the plight of people that are a part of, the different gender communities, and our plight has really nothing to do with that. And it's like the more you associate the black people with that, it's like you got to be careful. And I realized that it's not a coincidence that they can ride the coattails of civil rights to get the same rights for other people, because just like you, what does a black person and a person who might have a different sexual orientation have in common? You're both claiming to be something that you're not. Because you're saying you're black, but you're not really that. So if we could accept you for being black, then I can be a boy that can be accepted as a girl. That's why they can, in my opinion, it seems like that's why they can align, because you're both in denial of the obvious.
And I'll take it. No, I'll just say this last, and I'll take it a step further. We have to start stripping them of the white status. We have to stop acknowledging them as white. We have to start at some point refuse to play the color.
You got it, bro.
And get back. And it's happening. And I'll say this, it's happening. I just want to say this last piece.
They're jumping ship themselves.
Yes,
absolutely.
At the latest TPU, the latest turning point rally that they just had, right? You see Vivek Ramaswamy talking about an American is just an American. You can't say that a heritage American, because now that whole FBA delineation thing,
they're falling apart inside.
They're falling apart at the seams, brother. You see it. They're talking about being a heritage American. If you can trace your family back to the Revolutionary War in America. You see what I'm saying?
We saw that. You know what we saw that? I'm going to tell you what we saw. Leonardo DiCaprio in Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, the big fight between the Irish gang, the Dead Rabbits, and the other gang, they call themselves what? The Natives.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because they can trace themselves back to the Revolutionary War.
Exactly. And so, great point. And that movie is brilliant. If you haven't seen it, that movie has a lot of gems in it.
Yes.
And so that's the significant thing about this. We have to, because black as it pertains to a people is older in application, absent of negative connotation, than white is in a positive sense to as it being ascribed to a people like it is now. They're not white.
No.
And they'll tell you the way they play the race thing is it's a social construct. Doesn't mean it doesn't have real life consequences, but it's something that has been constructed. It's a caste system.
It literally is. Let me jump in real quick, brother. So
you got it.
And watch this, right? All it takes is for anybody right now, they can do it right now. They can go to the federal government, United States federal government website, and go to the Office of Management and Budget and look up the standard for race classification in America for statistics, gathering information, data, etc. Just look it up. Federal Directive 15. Just look it up and look up the definitions of black and white, and you will be you know what you're gonna turn into? Cuba Gooding Jr. in punching the air. That's what you're gonna turn into. I promise you. Because the definition for black, they say a member of any of the black racial groups of Africa. Hold on. Weren't we taught in high school that you can't use the word you're defining in your definition? It says the definition of black is a member of any of the black racial group. What does that even mean?
Right. In contradistinction.
Yes.
In contradistinction to what white says.
Any member of one of the original peoples, it said original peoples of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East.
And two of those races are not technically white people. So
brother, none of them are. How about that?
Listen,
none of them are.
In the opening statements of it, it says this has nothing to do with science or anthropology. So it's not even based on science.
Bro, that was their back door. Right. In other words, it's not science, it's not genetics, it's bad sociology.
Exactly, 100%. So all of them, other than Hispanic, has original peoples attached to it. But when it gets to the black definition, it doesn't have that.
If you live in a city that has refugees from North Africa or East Africa, or the organizations, most of them are Catholic, that are bringing them over as refugees.
Talk about
getting them set up. Ask them what they were classified when they came through INS.
Mm-hmm.
Just ask. I sit on the board of one of the largest interfaith organizations in upstate New York. And some of their biggest money comes from being, bringing in refugees from different African nations. And so they get them situated, and then guess what happens? Conflicts happen between our people here and them in the neighborhoods, the young people, right? Now, mind you, see, Mansa, you can travel a bit. So we have beef. We have what we call beef here. But beef is altogether different. In some of these other countries, when they watching their mother get their breast chopped off and then raped and murdered, then they got to walk thousands of miles. Beef is different. So the people that I work with, or on the board, it used to boggle their minds when our brothers from Somalia would say, "Yo, I hate black people," and they didn't understand because in their mind they but you're black. You see?
How do you guys respond to this question right here? She says, what about just creating a new definition of yourself? Why is that relevant or not? Like, why do people feel like we could just say and do what we want to do? Why can't we do that?
Let me just, I want to jump in real quick and just say this real quick, and then I want to hear Mansa's word on this, right? Here we go. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it this way: the wise man benefits off of his first effort, and the fool is always beginning. Go ahead.
Then that's an excellent way. I don't even know if I can follow up after that. That's an excellent way to put it.
That was crazy,
Why not just be who you are?
Yes, to the audience, I need y'all to understand something. First of all, get the likes up. Support the channel. We got 141 people in the building. Show some love. But what y'all got to realize is this is not a conversation of emotion. This is a conversation that's putting the onus on you. It's not about you. If you want to dispute this, you can only do it through study. This is not a Google, what so-and-so said on his panel yesterday. No, you're going to have, unless you're willing to crack open some literature, you're just going to have a bunch of questions. But you can answer them yourself. You heard things stated tonight, and you watched the replay. Take out a pen and paper. Treat this like don't just go by nothing that's being said, but just throwing stuff at the screen. Just what about this? What about that? We could do whataboutism all day because you think these are grown men who have come to a conclusion that they didn't have to do. They did it because they was willing to get outside themselves and break. Because you gotta understand something. To get to these conclusions, y'all don't realize that you have to break yourself. You got to challenge your own mind and become humble and say, I don't know nothing. So a lot of that arrogance that a lot of you guys try to put on people who have information, you really should put on yourself because it takes a humble person to learn that they don't know anything. So you really need to check yourself and humble yourself. And when you hear the things that's stated, write it down and look it up.
Follow it up. Mansa Musa said it. Brother Mansa said it earlier when he spoke about confirmation bias. Listen, it takes guts. It takes courage to not rely on confirmation bias. It takes guts to be able to say, you know what? I don't know what's behind door number 3.
Right.
I'm gonna keep myself open to figure it out by opening door number 3. What I'm not gonna do is come up with my own idea in my own head and then only look for things that agree with my own idea.
Absolutely. Grammatically correct. Let's just whatever you believe, just on the strength of grammar. You're more likely to be a noun than an adjective just based on grammar. So even if you don't believe it, the likelihood of you being a Moor is dramatically greater than it is of you being black, just on the strength of grammar. You can't be an adjective. So just say you don't agree with Moor. You can never be black. There's no way you can prove that. And like I said, it's just grammatically incorrect.
That's a fact.
Right. And I would just add to that. Let's say you can't do that. You can't say we're just going to make a new term, and that's what's happening with FBA, ADOT, all of these new ideas, Solon. You know what I mean? And BIPOC. And I just say this a couple.
Hey, what's that? Y'all just put me up. Hold on, very wrong. Hold on, what's that?
Black Indigenous People of Color, BIPOC.
Yeah.
Super. That's That's
And Solon is the other one that's
in the same. That is diabolical. You gotta pick when they double down on nothingness. That's crazy. Black, indigenous, colored people. It's like
people of color,
Black
yeah.
indigenous people of color.
Jesus,
That's
that's crazy.
Yeah. So you can't do that.
Right.
No, nobody's saying you can't do that, but you're going to have to fight to get that recognized. That's the problem. That's the challenge.
You're starting at ground zero. But when we
Starting
say ground zero, we're talking about ground zero for a minimum of wow. We can say 500 years with our conflict with in Spain, and then another nearly 800 years prior to that.
Right. Exactly.
That's how much time on the planet.
Exactly. And another thing, if you lose something, right? What's the first thing you do? Like, let's say you misplace your keys, you lose your keys. What do you start to do?
You
start to think
in your
backtrack. You
That's
backtrack
right,
to where it is where you last remember it. And then usually you find that where you lost it at is not in the current place that you're standing at. So we have to recover first before we decide to be something else.
Because we don't even know. It's like we be trying to analyze symptoms that we don't even know you have. You don't even know you were suffering from something to even remedy it correctly.
Brother Illa, what you just said is so key, because again, going back to a gauge of intelligence is your ability to squarely put your finger on the source of your issues.
Exactly. And
if you can't, that's called a silent weapon in a quiet war.
Exactly. And this is and this mentality, not to try to knock the sister, because I know she probably means well, but she said it did not stop me. Hold on. She said it didn't stop her from becoming a trained
psychotherapist. And you know what? Praise the law for that. That's great.
But like I keep telling people, Sharif, we become a nation of narcissists. And we think that individual progression is evidence that you can elevate as one. It's like, yeah, they'll let you be a great this and let you be a great that. But when you try to move the we forward, like we need a remedy that moves the entire group forward, and your individual achievements doesn't negate that. You need something that brings us all together.
Every nation, every individual on the planet came from or belongs to a nation. You understand? And a nation is not just people that look the same. You see? And so, and that's how every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. You know, let's just keep it a buck, right? Praise the law that you, and I'm not going to say that they let you become a psychotherapist. I'm going to say that you worked your behind off
absolutely
extra hard to become a psychotherapist by your own intelligence and your own hard work ethic. That is great. You are still doing it inside of a system and a social construct that only allows you to be what it wants you to be. And as long as you're thinking, I did this myself for me, that's as far as you go.
That's as far as you go, man.
No other people outside of us that believes that they did it all by themselves.
Because I realized something that certain people, there's two types of black people to me. There's the ones that don't know any better, and then there's a group of them that literally embody the spirit of blackness. And I mean that in a negative way, where they're just basically honorary white folks. They're only black when it comes to a police event or something racial. But outside of that, their interests, their ideology is no different than European. It's like they want the benefits of being a privileged white person while leaning on the greatness of black achievement. It's like they're this hybrid Negro.
What you just said is so huge. I just want to say this because, right? What you said is so huge. Brother Mansa said it earlier. The whole black-white construct, those are the two permanent poles of the caste system.
Which are the same, because when you look at the etymology of the word black, it comes from bleak, which is bleach, which is to whiten. So it really just two polarities of the same thing.
So watch this. I'm glad you said that. So watch this. We all can agree. I don't care who we are. We can agree in this caste system, the permanent lower caste is what? Black. The permanent upper caste is what? White. That means the purpose of the caste system is to preserve both points. So who has the upper hand in the caste system? We already know, right? Guess what that means, people? That means if you call yourself, and this isn't a judgment call on people's character. It really isn't.
Right.
If you call yourself, you're identified in society as white, you're a white supremacist. If you are identified and you accept the identity of black, you are a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Just say we know that we help the European acquire information. So if they think black means death, it's because we did too. Because we taught them how to understand certain things. So it's like that's not their definition of black. It's ours too. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
go ahead, Mansa.
Well, again, see that's the thing, because they redefined black. Okay, because
yes, correct.
When we dig it, like, this is science to blackness. Okay.
Yes.
When we look at melanin, eumelanin, the benefits of it neurologically on the brain, there's a fungus in Chernobyl.
Correct.
Right? Chernobyl is where they had that nuclear meltdown.
That's right.
And there's a fungus growing. That's they call it a melana fungus or something like that. But it's a pure black fungus that's soaking up the radiation and turning it into energy.
Cleaning it.
Melanin.
Right.
Yeah, cleaning it.
That's right.
Melanin has the capacity to absorb all light from the light spectrum. Mm-hmm. From radiation from gamma rays. What was the Hulk made of? They say he had a gamma ray situation.
Yep.
Gamma radiation. Melanin absorbs gamma radiation. Melanin absorbs radio waves, infrared, ultraviolet light. So in the darker, the blacker you are, the more cosmic data you can hold. Mm-hmm. When we look at Kemet, right? Al-Chem, black. When we look in Arabic and we go into the Quran and we see Adam, what comes from Adam, the word Adam comes from Udma, which means black, right? When we look at the word black is an English word. Mm-hmm. Let's be clear about that. Mm-hmm. And yet it shares the same common root as white. So what I'm saying is they reframed everything in their system is about reframing the narrative. They reframed in the 15th century. They reframed the meaning of black to mean evil.
Yes.
And to associate it with the devil.
Yes.
And we was also talking one time on the show about Negra, the alchemical process. Negredo.
That's right.
That's probably a little bit too elevated for, and I don't want to insult the people here, but that's definitely an elevated point. I'm not going to get into here because
there's a way that we can address it with the people here. I'm going to be real brief about it. Here we go. Please. And this touches on something that philosophical mentioned earlier, right? It's not the issue is when we say black code in science means death in the Moorish science temple of America, we say that, right? It's not the statement that's the issue that causes the pain with our people. It's the narrative on death itself that causes the pain. We think that the departure of our soul and spirit from our flesh is death. See, another thing that Noble Drew Ali taught, he said death is not an enemy, but a friend. He also said there's a holy ministry in death. And the word alchemy means life from death. Now watch this. Watch this, philosophical. Didn't you mention about how the LGBTQ community, the women's rights community, all these other movements grew out of the soil of blackness?
Of blackness, yeah.
Why do you think they want to keep us black, bro? Life springs forth from death.
That's why I said it. Black
We're
is
not supposed to stay dead, because if we stay dead, we fuel everybody else's stuff. bro.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we're doing. There's a business in the black ideology. It's big business. It's big business in the big mama crying story. It's big business in the drug story. And these, you see look at the shows that they put on TV that's always supposed to be black shows. It seemed like when I talk to my friends, it's like I remember I have some company and I'll be watching something like Game of Thrones. It's like, yo, why you don't watch no black show? I was like, what's a black show? They'll bring up something criminal. And it's funny, we fight against that, but when you bring up black show, they bring up something criminal or something degenerate as if that's blackness. So it's like, well,
or demasculated.
Yeah, it's like if you are associating this with blackness, then that's blackness. So don't be mad at me if I don't want to be that, because according to you, this is what it is. It's not like you showing me a different world. You're showing me all this criminal stuff. You show me all this gangster stuff, all this hood stuff. It's like, I just think like you broke down, Mansa. They did remix stuff, but you have different words that have a different place for different conversations. Like saying we black in passing as like a colloquial word, that's fine. Legally and politically, it's a different connotation used in that realm. But even to go with what you said, what do you say to the person that says, okay, if that's the case, then why can't we just call ourselves black? If it really means something good, or if they remixed it, why can't we remix it back?
And again, that's the point I was about to get to. The point I'm getting to is they remixed it and reframed it,
yes,
right, to mean something negative.
Yes,
right. Even the alchemical process of it meaning death is a process of coming out of something, right? Growing out of something, right?
Yeah.
So they reframed it and they remixed it true. But what allows them, you can play games with colors. You can't play games with nations.
Thank you, brother.
That's my point I'm making. So you can remix what a color means at any given time. And so it's not in not identifying with black or identifying with it. It's an understanding within the context what it applies to.
Wow.
Are we dark complexion, black skinned, dark brown skinned people? Yes, nobody's against that. Is there a sweet science to the blackness of science? Yes, but within context, legally and politically, when it's being used, this is what it means. It means in U.S. legal, political, socio-political terms, it means criminal, enslaved. This is why you see, but you can't do that with nationality.
No.
You can't say an entire nation of people. You can do that with colors, but you can't do that with a national identity.
Nobody ever says a t-shirt that says "Kiss me, I'm Irish" is racist.
Right. You see? 100%.
Facts.
Great point. Great point.
Super chats. I want to shout out. First of all, thank y'all for donating. I appreciate it, man. Y'all know I definitely try to bring y'all quality content, nothing crazy, nothing disrespectful. So thank you for the love. Mrs. Plum said, there's so much division, distraction. I don't even know where to begin. It's crazy work keeping only us away from our truth. Much gratitude. Absolutely.
Sister, that Mrs. Plum, that should tell you how valuable we as a nation are.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brother said, let's tie in some of the esoteric science of more.
Brother Mansa already started it when he mentioned the term Negredo. He already started it.
Yeah. Hey, that's a term you put us on to, man. That is mind-boggling.
Let me ask you brothers a question. What are some misconceptions that are holding back people from getting into this information that you personally would feel like should be put to bed at this point?
I think, while you're thinking, I think something, again, that's been repeated already, Brother Mansa's already dealt with it expertly. The notion that people can be colors or identified that way. Okay, watch this. Somebody that looks like me or you, right? Well, let's not even go there as far as appearances, right? Think about what's happening right now in Minnesota with our Somalian brothers. I mean, is it Somalian? Yeah,
Somali, yeah.
And what do you got? You got, because of this misunderstanding of identity, you got people that look like us that are ostracizing and separating ourselves from our Somali brothers and sisters as if we're actually different. Or no, I take that back. There are differences, but should we be foes or allies? You understand what I'm saying? Should we be foes or allies? And what do we got? Because of we're living, and this gets against something Brother Mansa said earlier, right? When he was talking about, oh yeah, we can be a Black American. We can be. But that's like living a lie. See, the lie is not real, but living it and believing it creates real conditions.
And it's an uphill battle that you don't have
real conditions. You see what I'm saying? So we have to first start with how we're thinking. We have to question how we're thinking. That's called meditation when you observe your thoughts, people. That's the power of meditation. You got to go in, man, and you got to literally look at how you got to analyze, again, going back to the confirmation bias thing that Brother Mansa mentioned. How many things do you just have you for years, months, and days blindly accepted as real without questioning?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
What they don't realize is being a Moor doesn't mean that all of a sudden they just embrace you with open arms. You just have some real bullets in that gun now. It's not something they could just dismiss.
We have to recognize the fact that it's like Mansa said again earlier, this is a process. It was a process to fall this far.
Right.
This is a process, people.
Right.
We got to recognize the fact that the psychology, the European psychology is deeply embedded here, and it's going to take a process, time, and work to remove it. So we have to accept the fact that no matter how much we dislike the conditions and the consequences of Blackness, we believe we're this.
Right. Exactly. Right. And it starts there, starts in the mind. And just to add on to what you're saying, again, and this is again why, like brother Sharif was pointing out with our Somali brothers and sisters. Here, what's happening is, like you said earlier, man plans, but Allah is the best of planners. Right?
Planners.
We have some straightening going on. So whereas we want people to come here and automatically be identified as Black and be in our struggle, which on some level is very true. You should, especially if you're coming from the faith of Islam, or you're supposed to side with the oppressed peoples of a given place. And a lot of immigrants come through and they don't want to align with us due to the propaganda that's spread about us globally and through the immigration process itself. I have people that have people that's married foreign-born people, and they tell them straight up, stay away from them folks.
It's a fact.
So they buy into it, and so their disassociating with us is also a problem that they're now realizing. Oh, we got to align with these folks, and then our people are starting to realize that, like, yo, you have to pick up a national identity. You can't just keep calling yourself a color because it convolutes the discussion. Because here it goes. People say, "Oh, being Black is an American thing." You have like people that tell the other foreigners, people like, "Yo, y'all not Black because y'all not American. We Black American, right?" And then when they say they're not Black, they say you racially Black.
Right.
See? Which
right. Right.
Our people are making a grave mistake in that space. And they're making a grave mistake by not aligning with us, although I get not wanting to align based on the color, but still in spirit and morality, they should align. But this just is straightening.
Yes.
Because it allows the space for us to have this dialogue that we're having now to get that clarity. But two things that I want to say that need to be put to bed about what this Moorish nationality and identity should be put to bed as far as disassociated with is sovereign citizen ideology and rhetoric.
Say that again, man.
So, being a Moor and having a Moorish national identity has nothing to do with being a sovereign citizen. And in fact, that was from the Posse Comitatus, who was a white supremacist movement. Who today, I can show you the parallels. We'll do this on another show. I can show the people the parallels from all the systemic movements from the Posse Comitatus to the Oath Keepers, to the birthers, to all of that, leading to what MAGA is today.
He said it.
There's a pipeline.
The originators of, those are the direct descendants of the originators of the sovereign citizen movement in America. It is the evangelicals, the Christian dominionists, the Christian Zionists today. That's who they are.
100%.
That's who they are, bro.
So I know a lot of our people, you know, they got scammed by people trying to promote Moorish identity as such, like saying that because you're a Moor, you can ride around with plates. You don't have to get the driver's license. You don't have to do these things. Now, there's nuances in that discussion, but they are not the same thing.
They're not the same.
They are not the same thing. They have nothing to do with each other. The
other
thing,
man. Don't be acting like y'all don't know. This is y'all getting the information right now from two people that live. This is a lifestyle for them. This is not.
Yo, bro, I gotta say this, brother. Both of y'all, brother Illa, listen, brother Mansa and myself were on that side.
Yeah.
That's how we can say it, bro.
That's how we can say that. You understand? And it was because things get convoluted. And again, when you're young, you got that energy. You just
it, bro.
You ready to stand on it, right? So this is coming from this is not like chastising people in the sense of saying, yo, y'all bad people, because we got caught up into the convolution of some stuff. And I've worked for the entirety of the duration of waking up from it to correct some of the wrong things that I have been saying in the past about this. Putting books out, making shows about it, and doing as much as I can, because you know, when you're young and you're green, you coming into stuff, you just listening to anything. And then you had to learn, like, nah, this person's spreading false information. This person, you know what I mean? Because what you actually find out is that the way this system is set up, it's actually set up for you to do whatever it is you need to do if you're doing it the right way.
Doing it the right way, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, your divine rights unmolested.
Right. 100%.
Unmolested.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the second thing is this concept of commercial remedy, right? Being a Moor has nothing to do with UCCs, a trust in the state. Now, these things have application once you elevate to understanding commerce and business, but that's not Moorish exclusive. It's asset protection and estate planning. Simply asset protection and estate planning. You know what I'm saying? But they're not the same thing. So please, people, don't ever let anybody tell you that being a Moor and then hit you with the 52 fake out and say, yo, you got to do this and you got to do that. You know what I'm saying? Those things are like the brother. I'm glad you pointed it out, because yeah, man, it's just asset protection and estate planning.
Estate planning.
You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
So
get that straight. Exactly. So stop acting like y'all know what time it is. Mansa and Sharif just told you. So stop trying to associate it. We have people with information. You don't have to wonder. You don't have to guess. We have the information. We have the answers. You can hear it from the horse's mouth. People that live this. It's not something that they're talking about. It's something that they heard. This is how they live. You know what I'm saying? Like, so shout out to the Moors that pulled up. We got some more super chat from the Moors, man. I appreciate y'all brothers, man. I really do.
My good brother out of Brooklyn, New York, brother El Serrano Bay. He said, yeah, Roger Elvick. That's a fact.
My bad. I clicked.
Oh, no worries, bro.
I'm gonna cut your wisdom.
But real quick, I wanted to put a special emphasis on something Brother Mansa said earlier. When somebody was talking about, you know, he was responding to a question in the chat regarding the choice, exercising the power of choice in terms of identity. Here's the thing. He said, man plans and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. Right? In the Quran of Mecca, and this is not me waxing religious, I'm just using this as a point of reference. In the Quran of Mecca, Surah 49, Ayat 13, surely we have made you, O man and woman, into from a single male and female into nations and tribes.
Excellent point. Go ahead. I got a question for you. Right? Great point. Great dialogue. What is something that people can do to filter their train of thought to see if it weighs up to a clean remedy or just something emotional? Because what we've done is, with this conversation, with the Moorish concept, we've kind of filtered it out and it fit certain categories that we can use to move forward. What is something people can do to do checks and balances on their own train of thought to see if it really has a remedy or not?
First and foremost, and I'm glad you asked that because it actually dovetails on what I was going to say. Recognize the fact that you're not looking outside of the barn house, bro. You have to actually look outside. You have to. So there's domestic perspective, but then there's international perspective and how it impacts your domestic perspective, right? The world, listen close, people. We were talking about this on our show, on the show I did with Brother Mansa. The world is, if you're not paying attention, pay attention now. The world is moving past global Euro imperialism and global Euro dominance. The world is moving past it and everything that goes with it. So if you want to keep the color code caste system, you know the rest of the story.
You're on the outside looking in right now. You're really the minority.
In other words, it's not a matter of choice. The fact we're talking about it now is the clarion call in advance. It's better to it's better to do it now than to be forced to do it later.
Absolutely. And to that point, just backtracking a little bit, but doubling back, spinning the block and touching back on this point. Like he just quoted in the surah.
Yes.
That Allah made us in the tribes and nations so we may know each other and not despise each other. Because having a national identity and a tribe is a divine right.
Thank you.
That is a part of the human condition. And to not have one is to be outside of that and to be subhuman. Now, if you're a Christian, you're from the Christian persuasion. Why do you think even if you're Asian and Chinese, people still go back to the Bible, to Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth to establish lineages.
Lineage.
You understand? To show where the nations of the world come from. You understand? And if you go to any other nation and you go into ancient histories and mysteries, if you go to the Anunnaki story, they came from some people who were from some type of divinity. Yes. If you go to ancient Egypt, they coming from some type of group of beings or one god or whatever that created. So understanding that having a national identity and a tribe is a divine right. And it's something, and people sometimes they get caught up into the polemics of religion.
Right.
But they don't understand that religion is in the ancient world, in the world that preceded this one. Because the world that we have now is based on secularism. And secularism was created during the Treaty of Westphalia. People, please look that up. That's when the popes of Rome fought with the Christian kings and princes over whether the church would have the say-so on the day-to-day life of the people.
Correct.
So they went into their specific doctrine of grace to create a space for secularism.
Yes.
Okay? But outside of that, it did not exist in the ancient world.
That's a fact.
You see? So if you ask any experienced lawyer, they're going to tell you that a nation's laws is based on their religion. Now,
exactly.
And so whether you practice it this way or whether you practice it that way, that's between you and your creator and whatever that situation is. However, we have to understand it as law. And being that it is law, in the law realm, the temporal, I wanted to say it because I want to say it right. You have to understand that man's law is still under what's considered law. This is understood in the world, in the world pertaining to the law.
Yes.
So I say that to say we have to understand that there is also a level of spirituality associated with the identity aspect of who we're claiming we are.
Correct.
You see? So whatever your religious persuasion is, you have to understand that once you start saying you're this or you're that, you're creating a universal correspondence somewhere with the energy of that thing. And if the energy of that thing is defined as negative, then that is the produce you will receive from associating and attaching yourself to that thing. So I digress there.
That was powerful, man.
no matter your intent, no matter how hard you struggle to avoid those consequences, that but I couldn't have said it better, brother Mansa.
No, man. I mean, no, that's honest, man. You know.
That's just what
I'm just trying to follow up. You dropping so many bars, man. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to follow up.
Ping pong.
This is definitely an awesome conversation, man. I'm so glad I was able to get you brothers. Like I said, I watched these brothers and I listened to them and I learned a lot from them before I even got into this space. You know what I mean? So just one of the blessings of getting to this space to me is just to be able to network with people that I admire. And I would like to share the people that inspired me with my audience. You know what I'm saying? That these are the concepts that make me tick. This is the reason why some people may perceive me as studious, because I hung around real thorough street dudes and scholars. Those are the two mindset that sharpen my blade. You know what I'm saying? So do the knowledge on that. You feel me? So I like to sharpen my blades with real scholars, real men that can teach me something. So when I bring something to y'all, it's not based on how I feel. It's not based on any type of bias. It's based on study. And we're going to always be able to provide receipts. But there's so many things we could touch on, fellas. I don't want to keep y'all here all night. It's unfortunate that Aseer couldn't pull up. They definitely
Next time, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Doing this again. I definitely just wanted to at least to get Sharif on the platform to establish that network. You know what I mean, brother? I definitely would like to get a one-on-one with you in the future. You know what I'm saying? Just really keep working with you.
I'm honored, brother. I'm honored. And again, I'm not just honored. I'm honored that you would ask me. Also, I'm honored to be useful, bro. Like as you pointed out before, we're not prostituting the faith.
Right.
This ain't how we make our money.
That's
you know
a fact. That's a fact.
Exactly.
That's a fact. And I can say that about this brother Sharif. He's truly a man of the people. He truly is here to serve the interests and the national interests of our people. You know what I'm saying? Like he's doing so much work, boots on the ground in the community, like beyond measure. You know what I mean? And that's what you can always do. No. Honest.
We
you know what I mean?
see him too. You know, yeah.
Honest, man. Alhamdulillah. But I just want to let y'all know that because that's how you test the measure of a person by what actual work they're doing for the people that they claim to serve. Right. You know, and this brother's doing some phenomenal things, boots on the ground. Y'all need to tap in with the brother and make sure y'all get a firm understanding and try to participate and help. Because you and me, Ella, we was talking about this earlier, that our people have an abuse syndrome. They support the people who do the wrong.
I'm glad you
as
said
opposed
that.
to help the people who doing right by us.
I had a point that I wanted to make before we go, and you just that was a lot right there.
Before you go, can I don't want to do it now, but before we go, but Comrade Ilamir was watching, so he got some bars he want me to read.
So you want to come on?
No, I don't think he's ready to come on, but I'll read what he texts me. He'll get on the next show, though. He'll be on the next one.
Man, you can pull up if you want, bro. There's room for you, brother. I sent you a friend request today, brother. Yeah. A brother of mine is a brother, a friend of mine. So you definitely welcome. But I wanted to say this. See, the reason why a lot of these people don't bring y'all information like this or even have your back in these conversations. You see all these black content creators doing black fatigue. You see a lot of content creators carrying themselves a certain way that's contradicting what they talk about. Because you know why, ladies and gentlemen? These people don't love you. And they think you're stupid. And the people that love you are telling you things like this. I'll bring you different trains of thought. I love y'all. These people don't love you. They think you just a dumb consumer. And that's why they just give you anything and say anything. They're like, oh, these niggas ain't gonna do nothing. They're gonna buy my t-shirt. They're gonna buy my program. They're gonna pay for this. They're gonna pay. They don't love y'all. I love y'all. I don't agree with y'all all the time.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between my content and a lot of other people. There's no love there. They just want to argue with you. They want to just, I'm not trying to beat y'all down. You know what I'm saying? We already know the issues. The question is, what do we do about them? And we have to go about them in a way that's revolutionary, that's going to blow your mind. Your mind's information, like Bobby used to say. Bobby had to say, yo, information is not supposed, it's supposed to fuck you up. Information is supposed to, excuse my language, I get a little but information is supposed to knock your ass upside the head. It's not supposed to be it's supposed to rock your damn world.
It's not supposed to
rock your world. You ain't really learning nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is out of love, y'all. That's all this is. We could be on here talking about anything. We could be talking about Jim Jones. We can talk about Max B. We can talk about a lot of stuff. No, we want to talk about nationality on the Monday night where people's getting ready to talk about Santa Claus and all of that. We're bringing real information because we love you. And there's a lot of things that was mentioned tonight that I advise you to look up, to do your homework, so when you come back next time you have better question. And if you guys will be down with it, I would like to have you on the panel where people can give you live questions, because what I want to do is merge these worlds. You got a lot of people talking to black men and women in these spaces that just discounting all of this. They think it's only about who you vote for, or it's only about the Democratic Party or Republican Party, and they have all this slick stuff to say, but they don't have any scholarship. And I would just love to see how their information lines up in real time with real scholarship. And it's not to convince them or to be unconvinced of our point, but it's for the people to see that these arguments that people are bringing to you have no real bearing, and they can't really defend their arguments in real time. And if we can do that, then you need to really look up what we're bringing to you, because these people are just they just see the consumer in you. They don't see the God in you. We're speaking to the God in you. We're speaking to the life in you. We're not speaking to the consumer in you. Yeah, I want you to support the channel because this takes time. The Bible even says a prophet is worthy if it's higher. So it's not about me rich, but it's like, hey, you could pay for nonsense. Why not support somebody that's bringing you information after a 10-hour shift working outside? So what I'm saying is support real information so you can get real energy and real blessings, Black. But with that being said, if any last statements others would like to have before we go?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just got a few things that the brother sent me that I wanted to read that's just things that the audience should know. He said the problem is they can't distinguish between nationality, tribal identity, race, color, ethnicity. Black can fall under both race and color legally, but 1415 is slightly more important than 1492 because that begins the invasion of Morocco. We got to stop accepting the European narrative, investigate it, but don't swallow his conclusions. Portugal seized their lands from the Moors in the 1100s to 1200s. The attention Spain gets should also be on Portugal. Portugal's rise in the 1100s to 1200s is just as important than 1492. Negroes was formerly attached to Moor. Moros Negros, that was Portugal. Moros Negros equals Blackamoor. Europeans sold each other into slavery too. So this, you know what I mean? He said the Moors were a confederacy of 5 tribes and over 75 clans. People say the Moors did this and that, not realizing there were so many clans. You can't blame them all for the acts of individuals on all of them and pose the question of which clan, which tribe of Moors are you blaming for this or that? They think it's a monolithic term. Spain to the Niger region is what the Moorish Empire is. And he said the USA in its current form is acting as an empire. They patterned their color system from the Arab system, converted it. Color has the same legal protection as race, ethnicity, national origin. It does begin with slavery, though. Enslavement by war does not erase the problem, starting with wars that led to the enslavement. We got to start in 1415, invasion of Morocco. Spain still has possession of Ceuta. Negroes de Nación de Moriscas can't separate black from Moor. Gotta talk. Hold on. He said, okay, that's it. It's more, but I gotta wrap it there. But
Our brother Alamir, like I said, man, they're stopping team.
Yeah.
Spotter, Alamir is the shooter.
For sure.
Yeah, brother Hard Truths Blue. I don't know who this is. Is this Blu-ray? Blu-ray, if this you, I didn't know that was you, man. You got too many aliases, bro. You got to pick one name. But it was a closed panel Blu-ray, but if you would DM me, I would let you. But we're going to have, because I would like y'all to have these conversations with the neophyte. You know what I'm saying? Like I want.
That's a great way to put it.
I want to bring these worlds together, because what they don't realize is we love y'all. we're here to embrace y'all. This is not a conversation to dismiss you. This is not a conversation to say bump your identity. We're trying to say that bring your identity underneath, not us, but your forefathers and your foremothers. This is not about joining my group or joining my. It's not about that.
It's not an either or thing.
It's not an either you're more whether you join something or not. Now, there's organizations that are promoting and pushing this narrative that you can support and be a part of, but they don't own the concept of what a Moor is. And that's what y'all have to realize. So all your groups, all your ideologies, we're not trying to push you away. We want you all. I want the Christian. I want the Hebrew Israelite. We want y'all all to come into this concept because it makes us powerful, because all of those places have but they say our Father's house has many mansions. So there's many rules for trains of thought, but you have to understand that we are all Moors collectively. Go ahead, Mansa.
No, I was just gonna show.
Okay, absolutely.
You got five fingers when you ball them together. Now you got a fish.
You got one fish.
If you don't think that we are, come up here. Let's talk. Yeah. Let's reason together. Let's bring our ideologies and let's be real about it and really honor scholarship. Because this is another thing I don't like about a lot of men in this space, that they try to discount scholarship and say, well, that's just a book. Well, no, there is a way to disqualify nonsense and conclusive information. Like, we're not going to pretend like everything is just conjecture. Like, we're not going to do that. There is a such thing as conclusion. And if we're going to be the leaders, because a lot of these men come from relationship-based conversations, you have to be intelligent to get your woman too. It's not just about having your money right. It's not just about having your credit right. You need to have your mind right. You need to be able to instill something, inspire something in her that she can't just get from an app. So if we're going to talk about this womanhood and womanhood and the feminist movement, y'all need to be able to stand on information and admit as a man when you don't know something, because knowing you don't know something is a powerful statement. It doesn't take nothing away from you to say, you know what, brother, I ain't know that. Because that's how we got to where we at. We had to say, I don't know. So come one, come all. I'm bringing the scholarship. The scimitars is stupid sharp. So just bring your information, because we don't want to debate. We want to reason to a place of understanding.
There you go, brother. That's all I got to say is this. I got to cut loose too real quick, but all I got to say is this. Listen, like I said, this ain't the Moorish movement. Is not a secret movement. It's not a secret demonstration. And like you said, and I'm saying this peacefully and respectfully and honorably, we are outside with the demonstration.
Yes.
Let's have the conversation.
Yeah. Oh man. That's yeah. They deserve that. I deserve that because and this will be my final word. This will be my final word. There's a current conversation going on right now where they're saying F the streets, right? There's the hip hop generation is saying, some are saying F the streets, and then you got some people saying, nah, you can't say that. Right. Yeah. But this is what I learned. The streets been dead. When I was in this Moorish demonstration, them brothers was scared to demonstrate as a Moor where it mattered. And that's when I realized they ain't got the level of courage that the regular average Moor has. You understand? So I'll just end it right there. Moors are outside.
Because Blu-ray talking about something. He got some smoke for you, Monster. Blu-ray. Remember Blu-ray? He think he got some smoke. He got like a little E-light, a little e-cigarette, but it ain't really
Blu-ray. I don't think I remember the brother, but it's so good.
With me, you, and Tommy Sotomayor.
Oh, brother Blu-ray.
Blind Dress. He was on it with the panel with us the other day too. So it's like y'all are funny, but realize that like a lot of us was like, I would tell the people like, y'all just panelists respectfully. I was on the block talking what I'm talking at 19 with real goons. So it's like I'm talking to them and being like, oh, this dude, he tripping. So y'all ain't, come on, bro. I'm on the corners of Norwood. We kicking this shit. So it's like just talking to y'all like this it's okay. We can discuss it. Go ahead.
One last thing to caveat that. There was something called the Black Identity Extremist Memo that the FBI had put out, and it leaked. It wasn't supposed to come out, but in it, they had the Moors at the top of the list. I don't agree with it, but that goes to show you the level of respect for the Moors that they see. They don't fight these other groups. They don't fight the regular black folks as hard as they fight the Moors, because they know if this ideology and this paradigm becomes the reigning supreme ideology among our people, liberation is around the corner. That's all I say.
Exactly. Y'all gotta understand, man.
That leak is literally comparable to the words of J. Edgar Hoover about a black messiah back in the 60s.
There we go.
So that's the number one fear and issue dealing with domestic stability in America. That's a fact.
We're going to have it open so people that may have detractors just come in peace. Listen now, don't come up in here talking some buck chitlin shit. Get your information together. Have your scholarship. We don't care what you believe or what you feel like. Because we ain't bring up a belief yet. These brothers is Muslim. I'm Islamic. But we ain't say nothing about that.
No.
All we talked about was history and culture. We ain't even imposed that. We ain't even bring that. So,
and our people deserve responsible information. We deserve it.
This is responsible information. This is very
void of pushing an agenda other than the truth.
Come on. I can't say nothing else than that.
Sources. Cite your sources. We bringing scholarship back. Not he said, she said. Not this person make the most sense. Subscriber count and viewership does not make what you're saying true.
No,
it doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to break it to you. Stop following the cult of personality. That's why our people keep falling, because they're following messengers and not messages. You know what I'm saying? So we need to really get off of that. But I appreciate y'all for putting up.
That's real.
Sharif, like I said, it's a pleasure to share the screen
Pleasure,
with you, bro. I've been watching you for years, and I'm honored to have you up here. And like I said, this is one of your homes. If you ever want to come and debut some new information, whatever, you're always welcome to come here, brother. Oh, absolutely. The pleasure is all mine, bro. The pleasure is all mine. But that being said, I'm gonna do my little ado. I appreciate you, brothers. Peace and love, and we will be in touch, man.
I said, brother, we're gonna get you on the next one.
Yes, we are.
We're gonna get you on the next one.
We got you. I said they try to hate. I said did pull up. He was trying. The powers that be was playing with it. You know what I'm saying? But we still had a great outcome. It got up to 160 people in the live, so it was a very good without no nonsense. This is proof. You don't have to talk about nonsense to have a good conversation. This shows you that there is an audience for intelligence in this space. So we don't have to talk about nonsense. Let's stop talking about it and be about it. You want to do different content and do different content. You don't have to talk about the same stuff. There's an audience for it, and people will respect it and support. So I appreciate you brothers for pulling up. Honest, man. Honest. All right, y'all, we did it again. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for everybody that pulled up. It was a great show. A lot of jewels was dropped. Please support those brothers. Take the time to rewind and look up the things that you saw. Don't just run with it. Pause it. Take notes. And look up this information, verify this information, see if there's something to it. You know what I mean? There's a book I referenced earlier called The Dogs of God by James Reston. Buy that book. Buy They Came Before Columbus. Buy the Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. By The Moors in Spain by Stanley Lane Poole. The Golden Age of the Moor by Ivan Van Sertima. Like, purchase these books. You know, stop just listening to what people say and do your homework so you can add to the conversation and be able to understand the conversation. But I appreciate everybody for pulling up. I will be live tomorrow. Oh, they playing with me. Hold on. They playing. I will be live tomorrow. They try to play with me, but I will be live tomorrow. We'll be interviewing what's the brother's name? It's Obsidian Ali, one-on-one with Obsidian Ali tomorrow night. So shout out to everybody that pulled up, but please pull up tomorrow for that conversation. I will be picking his brain about the modern climate for not only just dating and relationships, but black men, and really going to pick his brain. We have a dope conversation. As you can see, I have an eclectic taste. There's many conversations I want to have. I want to talk about more than just dating. I want to talk about a lot of things. I'm basically using my content for you to enter the mind of Illa, you know, and the things that I think about and the things that inspire me and the conversations that I have. So as you see the content I bring and the content creators I bring, I'm basically just giving you a preview into my mind and the things that I'm passionate about. So with that being said, thank you for pulling up. Shout out to Mrs. Plum. She said, I prefer this over the BS. Thank you, sweetheart. I really appreciate that. I really do. And yeah. Another great show. I'm hungry. I need to get some food in my system. But I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Peace and love. Please pull up tomorrow. Share the stream. Like the stream. And please pull up tomorrow. And I will have another show this Friday. I might do another show between them. But look out for me Tuesday. Look out for me Friday. We got some dope content coming up. Dope conversations. Peace and love. Thanks for all the support. And we out of here.
Them niggas shrink around you, man. You know what I'm saying? They just in the space probably before you was a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But them niggas shrink when you come around. That's why them niggas don't want you around.
Situation with the genders and all of that shit that we've been hearing about. And there's nobody better than the gore. Philosophical to come set that bitch off.
Yo, you know you